Salutations and fist bumps, folks. Welcome back to the grid. The internet is imploding. I'm sure you've seen by now the leaked trailer or teaser for Doomsday. What does it actually mean? Like, seriously, my timeline was blowing up once I saw the first post about this leak. So today I'm going to dive deep as much as I possibly can to uncover what this actually means for Doomsday and the overarching MCU without spoiling too much. And specifically, what I mean by that is I'm not going to show any of the leaked footage at all. I'm going to dance around talking about it. And as per usual, we have a whole lot to talk about and not a lot of time. Let's ride. Let's address the elephant in the room. The Avengers Doomsday trailer, teaser, leak, whatever you want to call it. Now, before we go any further, huge spoiler alert again for this video, because again, I want to make sure that anyone that doesn't want to see this has the opportunity to leave.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. And a Happy New Year.
Because I actually made that faux pas on this channel a while ago, and I don't want to make it again. So again, I say, spoiler alert incoming. Now that everyone that doesn't want to talk about this is out of the room, at first I believed that it wasn't actually real is because it's not supposed to be in theaters until the end of this week. In theaters, specifically as a trailer or teaser for the newest Avatar movie. But judging from the theater space that the viewer is actually in, it seems like it's either a person in an empty theater, completely empty, or a very late showing, or it's an employee of a theater. And that's the most probable of the situations currently going around. And again, just to be clear, though I have the footage and I have seen it, I will not show it here because I want to try and respect the creative process as much as possible. And for those who don't want to actually see anything or talk about it. So what do we know? Well, we know that Doomsday is going to be a catastrophic event for the MCU, possibly even starting the groundwork for a reset of the entirety of the universe. And we also know that this is a continuation of Endgame or the events after Endgame, even though we kind of already did that, but I'm very excited to see how they're actually going to bring all of that together because there's more to talk about later on. But the biggest question mark and the one that is sending shockwaves around the entirety of the MCU internet or interwebs, whatever you want to call it, is the appearance or possible appearance of a Star-Spangled Avenger. And specifically, he might show up as the version that is now taken over or brainwashed, so to say, by Hydra. The prospect of Evans actually returning to the MCU as Captain America is the driving force behind all of this stuff that we're talking about on the internet at the moment. I mean, Cap's journey through the MCU was a literal dream. From the scrawny kid from Brooklyn to wielding Mjolnir against Thanos, he had one of the most complete character arcs in the entire saga. And his ending in Endgame was beautiful. So if that is the case, why do all of this to bring him back? Well, the multiverse, baby. I mean, the multiverse saga has opened up Pandora's box to open all of this stuff into actually happening. Because at this point, we've seen variants of almost every character imaginable. In What If, we actually saw Peggy go from Peggy to Captain Carter, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. And in the comics, there are tons of Captain America variants, all types and shapes and sizes and all kinds of creeds and colors as well. And more specifically to this version, we've had Steve Rogers, like I mentioned earlier, brainwashed by Hydra. So could we see a darker version of Cap in this movie and going forward, specifically because of what he now wants to keep around? Also, what also could happen if he actually would go up against Captain Carter. You know, the version that doesn't age. Now, one theory that is admittedly a little bit out there is that Steve created an incursion going back in time to be with Peggy. And as the Scarlet Witch might say, that doesn't seem fair. Now, maybe that could have created a alternate Victor Von Doom that is now pissed off and causes this entire whole event. Of course, yes, I know that's all speculation, and at this point, that's all we have. But with the multiverse, literally anything is possible. So maybe Cap is back, Maybe not. But what else have we learned about this entire situation with Doomsday and the marketing scheme behind it from Marvel Studio? Now, let's shift gears and talk about what Marvel actually wants us to know right now. According to several sources, including Hollywood Reporter, Marvel has started or stated that they are planning a full on marketing blitz for Doomsday that is going to start in this month, or actually has already started. Now, that's in stark contrast to their super secret lockdown approach to everything up until this point. They've been playing this very close to the vest, and they said that they would actually do that until we actually hit the holidays. Now, I want you to think back to the marketing plans for Infinity War and Endgame, because we will probably see very similar things in terms of the rollout that is going to happen from Marvel Studios. Very, very hush hush until bam, everything is out in the open, especially at the end of this month. And speaking of trailers or teasers, there's a possibility that we're going to see 3 more additional teasers throughout this month. And the way that seems to be rolling out is being attached to the Avatar movie. Now, with all that said, this is where things get interesting, because damage control is going to happen with this particularly, and how they're going to manage damage control with this is going to be really, really paramount, because if you're going to put this inside of a theater, it's really hard to not have high school kids that are really, really excited to see this movie and be the first to talk about it on their social medias. It's hard to see that they're not going to be going into the theater, especially while something is playing, and getting this footage and then leaking it over and over and over again before it's actually supposed to be available. So that means that Kevin Feige is going to have to play Dark Knight really heavy to actually not have this happen. Like, imagine spending months crafting all of this stuff to actually be a really dope rollout, and then you just have high school kids that get their phones out and grab everything that you've been trying to work for. Now, what also could happen is they could accelerate their marketing plan so that these trailers actually come out a little bit faster or in different cadences, or they could stagger them both inside of theaters and outside of theaters so they have more control. But with all of this said, there's a lot of stuff that could go awry if they're not careful. Now, let's dive into the fun part, the fan theories. Now, I've seen everything from the fact that Kang could be showing back up inside of Doomsday for a undisclosed amount of time, and specifically based on seeing the actual footage and the ending of it, it seems as though Loki will have a really high ranking situation inside of this Doomsday film. And I've also seen that he possibly will play the role of the Beyonder. There's also rumors, like I said earlier in this video, that this possibly could be the groundwork for a reset of the MCU, so that we can really introduce the mutants. And it's also kind of touted that this movie may end up being an Avengers versus X-Men type of situation. And if that is the case, I am here for it. But all that said, it's really fun to speculate on how this actually is going to play out in terms of what this means for Cap and the entire MCU as a whole. Will we see Hydra Cap? Will we see a Civil War type 2 type of situation, which I don't necessarily want to see, but we could? What do you guys think? Leave that down in the comments, because I am curious. I need to know and talk about all this stuff. I know it's been a while since I actually posted on the channel, but now it's about to get overdrive, because there's a lot of stuff that I just want to talk about and nerd out about, and this is the best way that I know how to do it. So leave your fan theories down in the comment section, and until next time, y'all be smooth. I'll see you in the next video.